Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. We're continuing with our lesson. We are now looking at lesson 2, where we are going to be applying our in and out method. All right. So remember, we looked at in and out method in lesson 2. So now we're going to be applying that principle in this session. And remember, the in and out method is simply a double entry system of record, right? All right. Here we go. So the first transaction that we have is January 1, and it says started the business with $100,000 check. Right? Check represents bank. The money that you started the business with is capital. So we now need to create those two accounts, right? Check means bank. The money that you started the business with means capital. All right. So let us create those accounts. So we need one account for capital, we need another one for bank, all right? We also have our debit side, which we can call the inside, all right? We have our credit side, which we can call the outside. And it's the same thing that we're going to be doing in terms of adding up our account, right? All right. On the inside of the account, now we need to put the date, the details, and the amount, right? And it's gonna be the same thing for all accounts, right? Date, details, and amount. It's the same information that is on both sides, all right? All right. So our capital account and our bank account is ready. Now we're going to be entering the information into our account. So for the capital account, we are saying that, okay, the money is coming out of the capital account, right? And that is why it's going to be placed on the credit side and it's going to be going into the bank account. That is why it's placed on the inside, on the debit side, so that we have access to that money to spend it to do whatever we need to do in the business. So the capital comes out of the capital account, right? And the money goes into the bank account. All right. Let us look at the information that we're seeing. For both accounts, it's the same date, January 1, January 1. In terms of the amount, it's the same amount, 100,000, 100,000. Remember, we're using the double entry system of accounting. For the details though, that's where the difference comes in. We have to put bank to show that the capital went into the bank account. In the bank account, we have to put capital to show that this $100,000 came from out of the capital account. All right. For January 2, it says cash sales $5,000. The two accounts that are affected are cash and sales. We don't have a cash account here or a sales account, so we have to create those accounts, right? So cash and sales, all right? We head up our account the same way, right? That we did with the others, right? Debit inside, credit outside, and then we have our details amount on both sides of our cash account. We're gonna be doing the same thing with the sales account. Details amount, right? And labeling, debit inside, credit outside, all right? The next thing that we're going to be doing now is we're going to be putting the information in our cash account and our sales account. On January 2, it said cash sales. What this means is that we sold some goods, so the goods are going out. So $5,000 worth of goods went out on January 2nd, right? And these goods were sold for cash. That is what it is saying. On January 2nd, $5,000 worth of goods went out for cash. In the cash account now, we're gonna put the similar information because the goods went out and cash came in. So it's gonna be January 2nd, right? In the cash account, we receive $5,000 cash, and this cash that we received was because we sold some goods. So it's from the sales of goods. On January 3, purchased goods on credit T. Smith, $8,000. It simply means that this was not a cash or bank transaction, and so we need to create an account for T. Smith. Do we have a purchases account? No. So we have to create our two accounts now. Purchases, right? T. Smith, right? And then we ensure that we label our accounts, right? So that we can track the size, we can track the sites where the information is going to be posted. All right. So the transaction had said on let us go back. It said on January 3, purchase goods on credit T. Smith, $8,000. So if we purchase the goods are coming in, right? The goods are coming in. So on January 3, we received $8,000 worth of goods from T. Smith, right? Where are they coming from? Out of T. Smith's account. So on January 3, we sold, on January 3, um, T. Smith sold $8,000 worth of goods to us, but we record it as purchases because it's our book. So we purchased those goods from T. Smith. All right. The next transaction says January 4, paid salary check $4,000. Two accounts affected are salaries and bank. Check represents bank. Do we have a bank account? Yes, we have a bank account. Do we have a salaries account? No. So we're going to be creating our salaries account. All right. So here we go, salaries, right? And we ensure that we head up our document properly. All right. All right. So our documents are completed with their headings now. Now it's time to post the information on the relevant side. So the transaction says January 4 paid salaries with check $4,000. All right. So if we paid salaries with check $4,000, it means that the money is coming out of the bank account, right? The money is coming out of the bank account. So on January 4, $4,000 came out of the bank account. What did it go? What was it for? Well, it was for salaries. All right. So in our salaries account, now we're gonna have the same information, except that the details will be different. All right. So in our salaries account, we're gonna say, okay, January 4, $4,000 was paid into the salaries account. It's coming from out of the bank account, right? So we are just keeping track of where the money is coming from and where it is going. All right. The next one says January 4, paid salaries $10,000 cash. The two accounts affected again are salaries, but this time it is cash. Do we have a cash account? Yes. Here's our cash account. Do we have a salaries account? Let us see. Yes. Here's our salary account. So we don't need to prepare an additional one because they are there already. Right? So for January 4, paid salaries for cash, the money is coming out of the cash account, right? It's coming out of the cash account. And so here it is, January 4, $10,000 came out of the cash account. What did we use it to do? Pay salaries. All right, going to our salaries account now. January 4, it's the same thing, except the details are different. All right. So January 4, $10,000 was paid into the salaries account. Where it's coming from? Out of the cash account. All right. January 5th, bought property with check $10,000. All right. So do we have a bank account because check represents bank? Yes, we do. Do we have a property account? No. So we'll have to create a property account. So here's our property account and put in our details. All right. Okay, let us look back on the transaction now. It says January 5th, brought property with check. All right. So it means therefore that the money is coming out of the bank account. So on January 5th, we spent $10,000, right? January 5th, we spent $10,000. What did we use the money to do? Buy a piece of property. So the money went out and we received the property came in, right? So you can say the property came in or the money went into the property account. All right. So it is January 5th. We receive a piece of property now valuing $10,000, and that money used to buy the property came from out of the bank. All right. January 6th, bought machinery for a check $8,000. Which two accounts are affected? Machinery and check. Check represents bank. Do we have a bank account? Yes. Do we have a machinery account? No. So we have to create one. All right. So let us go ahead now and create our machinery account. All right, so here's our machinery account, and we need to ensure that our, our T account is properly labeled. All right, so what was the transaction? January 6th, bought machinery for a check, $8,000. So the machinery came in, right? So on January 6th, we bought a piece of machinery. We received a piece of machinery valuing $8,000, and this money came from out of the bank account. So we have to show this transaction in the bank account as well, right? So here's our bank account. January 6th, we paid, how much money did we pay? $8,000. What did we use the money to do? Well, we bought a piece of machinery with that money. All right. January 7, bought fixtures and fittings for check. The two accounts affected are fixtures and fittings and check. So we have fixtures and fittings and bank, right? Check represents bank. So we have to create two accounts, fixtures and fittings and bank. Let us check and see now. Do we have a bank account? Yes. Do we have a fixtures and fittings account? No, we did not create one. So we're going to create one right now, right? So here it is. And we ensure that all our labelings, all our headings are there, all right? All right, so let us go back to the transaction. January 7th, bought fixtures and fittings for check or two accounts or fixtures and fittings and bank, and it's for $2,000. All right, so we're gonna go into our bank account and we're gonna say, okay, $2,000 came out of our bank account for fixtures and fittings, right? $2,000 came out of our bank account for fixtures and fittings on January 7th. And we're gonna go look at our fixtures and fittings account now. Where did the money go? What did we get in exchange for that money spent? Well, fixtures and fittings, we received that into our business. So the money went into fixtures and fittings. So the transaction now says the information that we're posting for fixtures and fittings account says January 7th, we bought fixtures and fittings for $2,000 and the money came from out of the bank. All right. Our next transaction is January 8th. Paid water bill check $3,000. Two accounts, water bill and bank. All right. Do we have a bank account? Yes. We have a bank account right here. We have a water bill account. No, we don't have a water bill account, so we will have to create one. All right. So here's our water bill account now, right here, and we're labeling our account. Right. So we have debit in, credit out, the details amount on both sides. All right. What did we do? We paid water bill by check on January 8th. So the money came out of the bank account, right? Out of the bank account. So here we go now. January 8th, $3,000 came out of the bank account to pay our water bill. So here we go now. We have to utilize the double entry system of recording, and we're gonna put the information in our bank account, in our water bill account as well, right? So where did the money go? The money went into water bill. So we're gonna say January 8th, $3,000 was paid into the water bill account and it's coming out of the bank account. All right, let us go on to the next one. January 9 received a loan of $1,000 check. The two accounts affected are loan and bank. All right, do we have a bank account? Yes, we have a bank account. Do we have a loan account? No. So we'll have to create one. All right, so here's our loan account and we put on our headings. All right, what did, oh my God. All right, so let us put on our headings. Here we go. All right, so it was January 9 and we had received a loan, right, of $1,000 check. We said that two accounts affected are loan and bank. And so we're going to show that on January 9, on January 9, we received a loan of $1,000, right? The loan is going into the bank account because we want the loan to use to do our business transaction, right? So on January 9, the loan came in and it is $1,000, right? Where is the loan coming out of? It's coming out of our loan account. Where is our loan account? Here it is, right? So we have the same information except for the details again. So it's gonna be January 9, right? January 9, $1,000 loan came out of our loan account and it went into the bank account, right? All right, so because we want to show where the money came from that came into the bank account. So it came out of the loan account. All right, all right. So let us move on to the next transaction. All right, January 10, sold goods and credit to M Black. Do we have a sales account? Which two accounts are affected? Sales and M Black, right? We have a sales account, but do we have an account for M Black? No, we don't have an account for M Black, and we need to create one for him because we trust the goods to him. We sold the goods to him. It was the cash or credit transaction, right? Because it's a cash or bank transaction. That is what I wanted to say. All right. So we're going to create the two accounts, one for sales and one for MBlock. But let us look firstly to see if there are any sales account. All right. So yes, here is a sales account. Right. Do we have one for MBlock? Let's check and see. All right, we don't have one for MBlock, so we're gonna create one for him. Okay, and we are gonna insert our headings as well. All right, so now let us look back on the transaction and insert the information into our ledger. So it says January 10 sold goods and credit to M Black $16,000. All right, so if we sold the goods are coming out. So here's our sales account, right? So we're showing it that we are showing that the goods are coming out. So here it is, right? January 10, $16,000 of goods went out. It was not a cash transaction. It was not a bank transaction. It was sold to M Black. All right. So to complete our double entry system of recording, or to use our double entry system of recording, we're gonna look at M Black's account. Who did the goods go to? Well, the goods went to M Black, so it went into M Black's account. So January 10, $16,000 worth of goods. M Black received $16,000 worth of goods from sales. All right? So let us look back at the transaction. So we are now at January 11, and it says receive $9,200 cash from M Black. So M Black paid us some money out of the $16,000 worth of goods that he had purchased initially. So January 11 received $9,200 cash from M Black. The two accounts affected are cash and MBLAC. All right. So if MBLAC paid us, it means that the money is coming out of his account. So now it's gonna be January 11, $9,200 came out of MBLAC's account and it's in the form of cash. So if he paid us and the money is coming out of his account, the money is gonna go into which account? Our cash account. All right, because it was a cash transaction. So we're gonna say, okay, on January 11th, we received $9,200 for our cash from M Black. All right, we have January 12th, paid T Smith $4,000 cash. Right, January 12th, paid T Smith $4,000 cash. Two accounts are affected, T Smith and cash. All right, do we have a cash account? Yes. So we can put that in our cash account and put the respective entry in T Smith's account, right? So the money came out of the cash account January 12th. $4,000 came out of the cash account. It was used to pay T Smith. All right. Let us now look for T Smith's account. All right, so here is T Smith's account. All right, so remember it was a cash transaction. So it was January 12th, and we paid T Smith $4,000 in the form of cash. All right, okay. Let us now go back to our transactions and see what else we have to do. It says January 30, purchase goods on credit, S. James. Do we have a purchases account? Yes. We have an account for S. James. No. So we have to create an account for S. James. All right. So here we have an account for S. James and we label this account. All right. All right. So January 13, purchase goods on credit, S. James. Okay, so if we purchase goods on credit from SJ, because for purchases means that we purchase the goods. Sales means that we sold the goods. In this case, we purchased goods on credit from S. James for $1,000. So the goods are coming out of S. James business, right? All right. So we put it on the outside of S. James account. So it's January 13 purchases and it's $1,000. We're gonna look for the purchases account now to complete our entries. All right, so here is our purchases account, and it's gonna be, since we purchased the goods came in, we received the goods, right? So it's January 13, S. James, $1,000. All right, and we have completed that transaction. Now on January 15, we paid S. James $500 cash. The two accounts affected are S. James and cash. So we are going to, since we paid S. James, we're going to have to take the cash out of our cash account, right? So it's going to be January 15, S. James, $500. It simply means that we paid $500 to S. James. All right, let us now look for S. James' account to record the information in his account respectively. So here we are. This is S James account, and so it is January 15, $500, and it is in the form of cash. It means now that we paid S James $500 out of the $1,000 that we have for him for the goods that we had purchased, right? And our final transaction says January 16, sold goods for cash $5,000. The two accounts affected are sales and cash. All right. So let us find those accounts. So here we have our sales account. And since we sold goods for cash, it means that the goods are going out. All right. And our recording is January 16, cash, and it's $5,000. Simply means that we sold $5,000 worth of goods for cash. We now need to insert this information in our cash account. So let us put that information in our cash account. So it's January 16th, sales. It's January 16th, sales, $5,000, right? And it simply means that, we received $5,000 on January 16th for the sales of goods. All right. So we're now at the end of another session. Thank you so much for joining. We will meet again, where we will continue with balancing of our account. All right, so bye for now, everyone.